So what happens when you take two totally different cancer-fighting drugs and throw them at one really tough-to-treat skin cancer? Well, that's exactly what researchers wanted to find out in a clinical trial called Alliance A091802. And spoiler alert, the results were pretty incredible. Let's break down exactly what they found.
Okay, so here's how we're going to walk through this. First, we'll get to know the villain of our story, a particularly stubborn kind of skin cancer. Then, we'll look at the clever two-drug idea scientists had to fight it. After that, we'll see how they actually put it to the test. And then, the main event, the results. And finally, we'll ask the big question, what does this all mean for the future?
All right, part one, the stubborn skin cancer. To really get why this study is such a big deal, we first need to understand the problem that scientists were trying to solve.
So the cancer we're talking about is cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma, or cSCC for short. And believe it or not, it's one of the most common cancers in the world. Now, for most people, the good news is that it's curable. But the whole story changes when it gets advanced.
And that word, advanced, is everything here. We're talking about cancer that's either spread to other parts of the body, that's what metastatic means, or it's just gotten so big that surgery isn't even an option anymore. This is that specific, really challenging form of the disease that desperately needs better treatments.
Now, it's not like we have nothing. We've got modern immunotherapies, and they've been a huge help. But the reality is, it's often not enough. There's still a really big need to do better for these patients. And that need, well, that's what sparked the idea for this entire trial.
Which brings us right to the core idea of this whole thing, the two-drug hypothesis. Researchers started asking this really powerful question. What if, instead of trying to find one single new drug, we could make the ones we already have work way better, just by combining them? Could a team-up be the answer?
And the strategy they came up with is just brilliant. They took two very different drugs. On one hand, you've got Cetuximab. Let's call it the cancer tagger. It's an antibody that grabs onto a protein on the outside of a cancer cell, basically putting up a huge neon sign that says, hey, immune system, attack right here. Then you've got Avelumab, the immune unleasher. This is an immunotherapy drug that stops cancer from using one of its favorite hiding tricks. It basically takes the brakes off the immune system so it can go on the attack.
So you can see the theory here, right? It's this awesome potential 1-2 punch. Step 1, Cetuximab puts the target on the cancer's back. Step 2, Avelumab lets the immune system off its leash. And the result you're hoping for? A way more powerful combined attack than either of those drugs could ever hope to pull off on their own.
But of course, a great idea in a lab is just an idea. You have to prove it. So it was time to put this theory to the test. And that's where the Alliance A091802 trial comes in, designed to get a real scientific answer.
For the study, they enrolled 57 patients who had this specific kind of advanced skin cancer. This was what's called a randomized phase 2 trial. All that means is it's a mid-stage study to see if a treatment looks promising, and randomized is the key to making sure it's a fair fight.
And here's how they set up that fair fight. They randomly split the patients into two groups, or arms. Arm 1 got the standard immunotherapy drug, Avelumab, all by itself. But Arm 2, they got that same immunotherapy plus the cancer-tagging drug Cetuximab. By comparing these two groups directly, you can really see what difference that extra drug makes.
Now, every trial has one main question it's trying to answer. For this one, the big goal was to see if the combination improves something called progression-free survival. All that really means is, did it keep the cancer from getting worse for a longer period of time? That was the #1 thing they were looking for.
Okay, now for the part you've been waiting for. Section 4. The results are in. Did this whole 1-2 punch idea actually work?
This was it, the big question. Did adding that second drug, that cancer tagger, actually make a real, measurable difference for these patients?
So before we look at the numbers, let's just make sure we're all on the same page with progression-free survival, or PFS. Again, it's just the length of time a patient lives with their cancer, but the disease isn't getting any worse. It's a super important way to measure if a treatment is working.
And wow, the results were pretty amazing. For patients who just got the immunotherapy by itself, the median time before their cancer started growing again was only 3 months. But for the group that got the combination, that number jumped all the way to 11.1 months. I mean, think about that. They more than tripled the amount of time patients had before their cancer progressed. That is a huge, huge difference.
And you can see it right here in this chart from the actual study. You don't have to be a scientist to see what's going on. That top line, that's the combo therapy. The bottom line is the single drug. And that massive gap between them tells the whole story.
The patients on the combination were just doing so much better for so much longer. And that's not all. The combo also had a higher response rate, meaning more patients' tumors actually shrank. And check this out. This part is so interesting. Patients whose cancer got worse on just the one drug were then allowed to switch over and get the combo. And for them, the median PFS was 11.3 months, almost the same as the people who got it from the start. Now, of course, there's always a trade-off. More serious side effects like rashes were more common in the combo group.
Okay, so we've got these incredible results. That leads us to our final section. What comes next? What does all of this mean for treating this cancer, and maybe for cancer treatment in general?
Well, we don't have to guess how important this is. An editor for the super prestigious journal where this was published, Dr. Grant MacArthur, he called the improvement very substantial, and he said it provides clear evidence that we need to keep studying this combination strategy.
And that's really the key takeaway. A successful trial like this is a huge stepping stone. It basically gives researchers the green light to design a much larger, more definitive study to confirm these results. And if they hold up, this two-drug combo could one day become the new standard of care for these patients.
You know, this whole study does more than just offer hope for one type of cancer. It really highlights a powerful idea in medicine. And it leaves us with a really exciting question to think about. Could the key to the next big cancer breakthrough is not be some single brand new magic bullet, but the clever, strategic combination of drugs we already have, just used in a smarter way?